Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne. My name is Beth, and I'm back today to record a very special video. I've wanted to do this for like the last week or so. I was starting to think about it, and I want to give you guys a little bit of background on like why I wanted to do this video. So for those of you who don't know, I had kind of like a catalytic type thing a couple of months ago where I had what you would consider to be a near-death experience where I started to see the portal of light, and it lasted for about a week, and I started to realize that I didn't really have that much time, and I asked Spirit for more time, and I've been given more time, but I really don't know how much time I have, and nobody really knows how much time they have. And for like the last week, I've been thinking about what my legacy would be. Like, what is it that I really want my clients and everyone to know? Like, should I pass away, I wanted to record a video that really talked about my legacy. Like, if there was one video that people watched of me that really meant a lot to me, this is going to be this video, okay? And I am not kidding when I said I saw the portal of light. I am very serious that did happen. The reason that happened is because I completed my karma and I've completed what I came here to do. But at this time, because I've asked for more time, I'm still alive, and every day that I wake up, I'm very grateful to have the time that I have. But at the same time, I wanted to really write down, and I just wrote down all the things that really are very important for me to talk about. I talk about them in my videos a lot, these concepts, but I'd like this to really be what I'm remembered for, or what people think about me when they maybe watch my videos in the future. They go, okay, this is what she really stands for. This is what she's really all about. And this is what's most important. And this is what she wanted people to know and understand. So it's just a little list, and I'm just going to go through it, and hopefully you guys will take something from it. I'm not like, I know it sounds weird, I'm not like freaking out about me passing. Although my friends have freaked out about me passing, but at the same time, I take every day as it comes and I try my best, and I'm just super grateful to wake up every day, and every day that I wake up, I have more time. That's how I see it. So it's interesting that I'm talking about this, because some of you do need to take a page from my book and say, okay, what is your legacy, and what is the thing that you want people to remember you for? What are some things that you want to do if you didn't have a lot of time left? Like, we go through these things in our life, we go through things and we don't realize, we forget that we have time. We forget. And sometimes we use it, we use our time wisely, and sometimes we don't, So maybe those of you who are watching later, maybe try to use your time more wisely. Try to appreciate the time that you have. Try to understand that at the moment you think maybe it's not worth it to be here is the moment that you will regret not being here. Because, like, I partially crossed back in I think it was 2019. And I realized at that time that I wasn't ready to pass, and that I needed more time. And at the moment that happened, I was like, oh shit, like I actually really don't really want to be on the other side. I really want to be on the earth side. I really want to have the experience of doing other things that I haven't done yet. So I'm just giving you things to think about, basically. So my little list, I'm going to start with my little list and go from there. So the first, number one, it's not that actually, I probably should start with number 10, but I'm going to start with number 1, and this is just my list. So, love. I want everyone to love each other more and to create the win-win. I want people to have compassion and understanding for each other. I want people to be loving to children, plants, animals, themselves, the planet, and each other. It seems to be, being in the psychic business, everybody wants to know what's going on with their love life. The world could be ending and they want to know what's going on with their boyfriend, what's going to happen with their boyfriend or girlfriend. They want to know what's going to happen in love. But the irony is that we don't prioritize love. We put love last. We put love in the back burner. We put our partners last. We decide that it's not important. It's not as important as having a solid foundation or having financial income or keeping a house or keeping a property or keeping whatever it is that we have, rather than embracing love. To me, it's also about embracing the idea of what you bring to the world, bringing the love to the world, bringing the love that you could share with the world that maybe you're not expecting so much all the time that the universe is going to deliver or provide a love partner that's everything that you could have possibly wanted. Really, it's about bringing the love, being more loving, and prioritizing love more than those other things. I wanted to make a note that it's important, I think, what I'd like people to understand and what my legacy, in my opinion, is for people to understand that money and career are part of a system that we are working to break free from. And so I'm going to go on to number 2. Number 2 is money. There's a lot to be said around this, and what I like is there to be less greed. It's not, and this is very important, it's not the energy of the money itself that's the problem. Because money, people equate money and greed, and that's that's not true. The energy of money itself is like water. It's like life. It's fluid. It's like a river. It's not greedy. But greed and the energy of greed is something I'd like the planet to face up to accept responsibility for, to do better, to not say they're going to do better and then not do it. Number 3, I'd like people to understand what polarity is, what consciousness is, what our heritage is. And when I say the galactic heritage, there's specific books that talk about the beginnings and origins of the planet, and this is not what you were taught in school. And this history is going to help people overcome the polarity game, the war and peace cycle, which we are very much still plugged into. I always tell people, the only way to win the game is to play the game, right? You can't go, okay, well, what do I need to do in order for everything to be great? Or what do I need to do in order for this person to love me? Or what do I need to do in order for me to get a job? It doesn't work that way. You have to play the game. You have to apply to the job. You have to get married. You have to have a relationship. You have to have a child. You have to have people in your life. You have to go apply for a job and get the job and experience working there. You have to have a shit boss. You have to have a bully at school. You have to have people that suck. You have to have people that judge you. You have to have loss. You have to have, in some cases, scarcity. You have to have, and face. You have to face many challenges of in some cases race, and in some cases gender, and in some cases hypocrisy, and in some cases obstacles within religious institutions. All of this stuff is part of the game and is part of the stuff that makes life, and we have to face those challenges. We can't just say, well, we're going to sit this out, because that's not what we came here to do. And the irony is that people feel the most comfortable in front of their TV being told what to do, when to go do it. And the mind fuck is that they're convinced that they need it to relax, or that they deserve it, or that it's healthy. So I could go on about that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go on to number 4, and this is very important. Doing your research, doing your homework, looking things up, reading a book, a real book. I'd like people to become more independent, more willing to do their homework, more willing to look things up, to research things. I can't tell you how many times people have asked me how they can book a reading, even though I have said many times it's on my website. But people will email me instead and ask me how to book a reading, and still, it'll be the very last thing that they do is that they go to my website, when it should be the first thing, the homework. The homework is to check out what I have to say, to see if I'm actually the right person for you, to send a payment, to figure out, okay, what a good time would be. All of that homework stuff is important for people to do. And, the funny thing is, we spent so much time in school, and the one takeaway that I got from school is that nobody does their homework. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to actually look something up. Nobody's in that mode of self-growth and self-discovery, and nobody's in the mode of ownership and responsibility. And that is why this planet is suffering. That's why this planet is struggling so hard. Because if people took some responsibility and said, you know what, I'm going to do some research and figure out how to build something that's actually going to help this planet and do something with it, then maybe there'd be some progress. There'd be moving forward in a, not just an inch, but a leap, But to me, the whole thing about doing the homework is about the growth of our souls, and our souls being very, in some way, young and immature and needy. And I'd like people to become more independent, less dependent, and less dependent on their, less dependent on other people for and allowing them to have a lazy and complacent lifestyle where they don't have to grow. They don't have to change. They don't have to learn anything. They don't have to discover anything. They don't have to work at anything, and they can just sit there. So this is, again, my legacy. This is what I want people to think about, and this is what I want for people in the future to understand, that this is what I stand for. Number 5. Number 5 is all about spirituality, actually. And I found this very interesting because people don't know what it means to be psychic. And that's interesting to me, because everyone is psychic. I happen to have some extraordinary gifts that I was blessed with, which I didn't understand because I grew up in a very religious household that believed that spirituality actually was evil, which is very interesting because that the beings that are in control of religion are negative beings. So, I think it's really important for people to understand their own abilities. I'd like it for people to work with other psychics and to work with children and to help children understand the spirituality of life, to understand that music is spiritual, that creativity and writing and play is all spiritual, that every time we talk, everything, this entire communication is channeling. It's all spiritual, that life itself is spiritual. But you know what? People ask me all the time. They say, Elizabeth, I've heard things and I've always felt things, but I don't really understand what those are. Can you explain a little bit more to me about what is it to be a psychic? What is a medium? People ask me all the time. I think it's very important for people to look up what it is to be psychic, to learn there are a lot of really great spiritual books. And goes back to number 4, where I said people need to do their research. I'd like it in the future if this was taught in school. If there was a specific class starting at a very young age where people sat in a group and tuned in. Where they tuned into plants, they tuned into rocks, they tuned into music, and they tested their abilities. That's what I'd like to see. But I also like to see adults doing the same thing. I'd like to see people making decisions with their intuition. I'd like people making better heart-based decisions rather than staying in this logical mind. I'd like people to tune in to what they're afraid of and face that fear and be like, no, that's just not going to happen, There's all kinds of things that could happen, but when you tune into it, you will know one way or the other because that's your intuition. Number 6, and this is super important. The topic is freedom. I wrote, in some regards, this is an ongoing theme and will be a major issue and theme in the future. Not just individual freedoms or individual countries' freedoms, the freedoms of souls on this planet and in our galaxy. So this goes way beyond what, again, we were taught in school. It goes way beyond us understanding our personal freedoms here on this planet. It's a theme that needs to be addressed, and what I'd like people to really understand, because to me it's just an understanding of this is all what we're working with. This is what we're dealing with. Okay? And it's bigger than just us. And having a theme like this is to me, it's an ongoing issue or struggle that we are going to face repetitively. So my legacy is to basically bring it out to the open and say, this is the theme, this is what we're dealing with. How can we really face this issue head on? How can we really think about it in bigger terms, and what can we do about it? Number 7 is to try. Then to try harder. To be brave, to be courageous, to go for it. I said, it's good to learn to take a rest and to breathe. And know that everything you want, you already have. For me, that was the hardest thing to learn. understand that in life we can hustle harder and make better choices and find our way in life. This one is interesting, this little part. I'm thinking that maybe it should have its own little number, that this is going to be number 8, because my dad would always say, go easy. He'd always say, take one day at a time. And, of course, I feel like I am part of his legacy. And so I'm going to add onto that legacy that I think that also, if you need to, hack away at life and push yourself if you need to, but also love yourself. I believe sometimes we don't push hard enough. We don't get to the place of determination where we're like, we are going to hack away at this until we figure this shit out. People stop. People don't want the conflict. They don't want to deal with it. So they don't hack away at life. They'd rather do nothing. Number 9 is that there are no mistakes in life, just setbacks. It means that we only have so much time to make good decisions. If all you do is make poor decisions, then you will be wasting your life in suffering the consequences of those poor decisions. And I think, to me, that's one of the biggest things for me to learn, that all of the time that I spent on a relationship that wasn't healthy or that wasn't going anywhere, in some way took away from my time that I would have spent or could have spent in a relationship that would have been healthy. But none of it's a mistake, because I learned from those relationships regardless. And this doesn't have to necessarily mean mistakes in just relationships. This is just, there are no mistakes in life, because we're here to experience everything. So yeah, you might think you're totally effing it up, but you're really not. Yeah, you could always do better, and yeah, you can always make better decisions, and we are always on that scale of, are we making a good decision or are we making a piss poor decision? And you need to ask yourself, where do you fall on that scale? But ultimately, none of the decisions that you make are for anyone else to judge or to have any real opinion on unless you ask for it. Because it is your life. Yeah. Number 10. This is about taking the chance that things will get better and saying yes to life. And for some people, that's really going to ring true, especially if they have ever contemplated taking their life, if they've ever worried about stuff to the point, or stressed about stuff to the point where they didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, and they couldn't see how their life was going to get better. But I also believe in saying no when you need to stand in your power. And that no is a very, very powerful word. And that it's a very misunderstood word. But there are times in which we need to say no. No, that is not allowed. No, that is not okay. No, I don't want to. And just as much as there's that healthy balance of saying, yes, I'd love to partner with you. Yes, I'd love to go out for coffee. Yes, I'd love to plant at the garden this season. You know? Those say yes to the positive and let go of the things and say no to the things you do not want. This would be number 11. it talks about, my legacy to me talks about enjoying your life. I came to this point, this is very interesting, I came to this point where, I think this was in like maybe 2015 when I was really, really busy with all my clients and my channel, where I realized that all we really get in life is the ice cream. It's the red wine. It's the walk at the sunset. It's baking the muffins. It's hanging out with friends. It's planting the garden. You know, these are the things that we get. These are the things that we are living for. So this is, to me, about finding things in life to live for and enjoying your life and enjoying what you've been given. And there are people that will be around you that will never understand this. But this is my legacy, and this is what I'm hoping people will appreciate and understand. This is also about making the world a more beautiful and colorful place. And I always kind of imagined, instead of the highway being so just, you know, dry and desert-like and grassy, I imagined that in the middle between the highway and even on the sides, all kinds of perennial flowers from the entire highway, like from one end to the other, perennial flowers, fruit trees, just it being more colorful. And even if one person decided, okay, they're going to make the world a more colorful place and they're going to plant some bee balm in the middle of the forest, it's one thing that will improve upon this place and this planet. And it's also about, to me, this part of my legacy, it's also about making music and art and having fun. And I love how, for me, I put fun basically at the very end. And I think this is a difficult thing for a lot of people, myself included. And none of these things are things that I feel like it's easy to master, just so you guys know. It's not like I say, okay, well, I've got this all down, you know. It's just what I'd like people to think of, like, you know, and to think about. And I put fun last, but I mean, if you're in a job that you hate, you're not having any fun. If you're working 60, 70 hours a week, only have one day off, you're really not having any fun. So you're missing out on the time that you could be doing other things that are fun, that lighten your mood, and that make things worthwhile. So I think that's all that I'm going to say. I really appreciate everybody for watching this video. And if you can, give me a thumbs up. You know, you're more than welcome to message me in the comments and let me know what you think. But yeah, this is what I have learned, you know, or this is the things that I think that are most important and I'd like people to know and learn. So I send everyone big hugs, big kisses. I will be back again for more videos, so stay tuned. Thank you guys again so much, and I wish you guys a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Take care. All the best. Bye.